Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You just say your name, how old you are, and how long you've been climbing.
I'm first and last.
Yep.
I'm Sophie Volchenbaum. I'm 17 and I've been climbing for like 10 years.
I'm Allison. I'm 16 years old and I've been climbing for 7 years probably.
My name is Paul George. I am 49 years old and I've been climbing for about 8 years.
So not that, I would expect longer.
Yes, I started very late in life for for most in the climbing community.
Today is May 12th, 2022, and I'm leaving for a 4-day rock climbing trip to Holy Boulders, the largest concentration of boulders in southern Illinois. I'm going with 3 climbers, Paul, Allison, and Sophie, and it will take about 6 hours to drive there from Chicago. We're going to be camping out at Lake Murfreesboro State Park to climb and get footage for this mini documentary. The goal for this doc is to show non-climbers what rock climbing is all about and why people all around the world have fallen in love with it.
Bouldering is basically climbing that typically is less than 20 feet. There are higher ones, but especially indoors, it's usually around 20 feet. So there's no rope.
It requires more strength and kind of like power, and that's the more type of climber that I am.
The routes themselves are referred to typically as a problem, and they tend to be a little more technical and have a lot. There might be just like 4 moves, say, on a route, but they're pretty advanced. I mean, there are easier ones, of course.
If you have a relatively hard boulder, every single move on that short boulder climb is going to be difficult. It's going to be like from the start, you're fighting for every single hold you get to.
But yeah, the primary difference between other types of climbing is there's no rope, and you use mats. So when you're climbing outside, you have what are called crash pads that you lug around and kind of move them so they're under the climber. And then in a gym, the whole floor is a mat. So 90% of climbing is almost failing, basically, is falling until you can do it again, and then eventually you'll be like, oh, I got that move, or I got that route I was working on, and you kind of work your way up. And you could definitely, it's one of those few sports that I've ever been involved with that you can feel and see the progress. The interesting thing is that same thing that I love about climbing, like the repetition and the idea that you might fail on something, and actually maybe, especially in a gym, they might take a route down and you may never get to finish it. That very thing that I love about it is also the thing I think that initially was like, well, this sucks. Like I can't get, I'm not progressing. I can't get, and then one day you nail something that you've been working on, and it's great. That same thing that kind of probably detours a lot of people when they first get into it, there is also the thing that can be really wonderful if you stick with it.
I have been told so many times that like the climbing community is like the most like safe sport, like kind community ever, and I could not agree more. Like I'll be like talking to my friends and like, oh, like my friend is climbing, I'm gonna go watch, like gonna go cheer or whatever. And they're like, aren't you competing against them? I'm like, yeah, but I've known this kid since I started climbing when I was 7. Like we have seen each other fail and succeed for so many years.
It's very welcoming. I mean, you can go out to a crag outside and be climbing with someone outside, and people just come chat with you and ask where you're from. It's very welcoming. Same in gyms. I travel quite a bit for work, so I go to a lot of gyms around the country, and they seem to all be pretty much the same, and it's great. It's a really nice thing. On the competitive climbing side, you don't really encounter any crazy parents going nuts with the sport. Everybody's pretty cool because they it's just how it is. So it's a wonderful part of it for sure.
I really like climbing because it's like such a unique sport, and it's kind of like less widely known. I don't have to do it through school, and I get to meet people like who live nowhere near me. I think it gives me the opportunity to like stick with it for like longer, because I feel like a school sport, even if you make it to like college level, once you're done with that, you're kind of done. But climbing, you could just do forever. You can be a middle-aged man and do it, like my father. Climbing is for everyone. So.
For me, it is actually that. It's sort of interesting because it's like a multi-generational camaraderie that sort of exists in climbing that I'm fascinated by. I can go. My daughter Allison is 16 now, and we can go, even when she was younger, but we could go anywhere to climb. And here I am in my late 40s climbing with her, and then we might encounter some kids in their mid-20s and some people in their 30s, and everyone treats it the same way. Even on gender, it tends to, women are very respected in climbing. I mean, it's got a lot of work, like with anything, to be done, of course, but it's amazing that, like, it's not like I show up and they're like, oh, who's this old guy? Or Allison shows up especially when she was younger, and they're like, what's this 10-year-old doing here? It's not like that. People are very welcoming, and I don't know that I've seen that in a lot of sports and or just activities, I guess, in general, personally. So that's been pretty nice for me. I like that.
Something about this community, it's a relatively like newish indoor sport, and you can't go climbing alone. You can't take your van and like set your pads up. Like, you're gonna want someone to move your pads with you. You're gonna want someone to like hike with you. You definitely can't rope climb alone. And so it's a sport where you need someone there with you. Like, obviously team sports you do too, but this is like, you need someone to do it yourself. Like, you need someone to be belaying you to climb the route yourself. And I think because of that, and because of these, like, the community that has had to been made, because you need that community to like succeed, it's just stuck with indoor climbing too. It's a pretty interesting thing to watch, like a new person climb, like the instincts that they have of like trying to hold themselves up the whole time, and like things that kind of feel obvious to me, or someone that's been climbing for a really long time, like where to put your feet, which hand to go with, are totally lost on people that are first starting. So I'd say, like, while you're gonna get stronger really quickly, it's definitely good to be patient with yourself. Take videos of yourself to see where your body is. Ask other climbers. It's a big thing. Like, if you're in a gym and you're like, hey, like, how'd you do this route? What am I doing wrong? Like, can you give me beta on how to do the route? Like lean into that, and lean into the community, and lean in for help, and be patient with your body. Your skin's obviously something. Fingers, like, it's a whole body sport. But it's definitely more than that too. It's everything.
The cool thing about that kind of thing is it's your climb. You can do whatever you want with it. I mean, if you feel comfortable just always climbing 5'9" on like something that's easy and stuff, then do that. It's wonderful. But I think that the thing that people don't usually realize, but they come to find out, is that one of the big, really cool parts about the sport is the mental game, and the trying to figure out like a puzzle, basically. So you're working your body while you're also working your mind. You're trying to, like, let me try this, and you're working that usually with someone else that can also throw out ideas to you. Might be someone you've known for years, might be someone that you just met. But I think that's what's great. And I think that even just from a working out standpoint, I mean, I think one of the first reasons I started liking it is because I find going to the regular gym boring as hell. It's like, I don't want to do that. And so I started doing this. I was like, oh, I feel great after doing this, and it's fun. Like, it's so. And I mean, I don't particularly like heights necessarily and stuff like that. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'm afraid of them, but but I don't seek that kind of thing, and so it's I'm not you don't have to be an adrenaline junkie to go learn to climb, or and now there's gyms everywhere. It's a pretty accessible thing to do. I mean, I encourage people to try it. I love taking people the first time they've to climb. I think it's fun. They usually are like, amazed by. And it's also really one thing it's really amazing about the sport, I think, is people don't realize you could watch somebody climbing a route and be like, looks like they're going up there, okay, whatever. And you might not even be able to get off the start on that thing. Sophie and Allison, like, they climb things that like most people, if they went into the gym, they literally would not be able to do the first move or get off. But that's awesome. I mean, it's not saying that you're bad and you're good. It's just like, that's really cool that like these kids that are climbing super strong and climbing on nationally ranked levels and stuff are climbing these things, but they're having just as much fun doing it as these people over here that are not even close to climbing that. I mean, I think that's super cool. And so that should be encouraging for people to do it, not discouraging. But I think, sometimes people go into a gym or something and they're like, I can't do this, but you certainly can, because it's, it's for everyone.
When I was 9 or 10, I think, one of my teammates took me and a couple of other kids climbing for the first time outside, and it was like one of the most surreal experiences I think I've had in my whole life. I think for a lot of reasons, but one of them being just I was so young and I looked up to these people so much, and it was just a whole new world. We got to this place called Miguel's, and she knew everyone already. I think she was my age, or maybe a year older, but I think she was around my age at the time. She had driven the van 7 hours, and she got there and she knew all these people. And there were these people throwing fire, spinning fire by the basketball courts, and there were other people that were doing one-arm pull-ups on the wooden beams of the outdoor eating area, and it was just insane. I didn't know that existed, and I didn't know that there was that community. There was hammocks everywhere, and there was just the way it ran was so interesting to me, and I was yeah, this is normal, and I just got to be there and kind of watch everything in front of me. I don't know how many words I spoke that trip, but just to see that environment and want to be a part of that. I haven't really gotten a chance to go back. I think I've gone back once, but I don't think anything's gonna ever hold a candle to that, just in awe of this world that I had never seen, that plenty of people have kind of grown up in, or that is what climbing is to them, whereas my climbing is completely different to theirs.